In the hidden empires beneath our feet, order reigns supreme. The rainforest floor is a sprawling metropolis, a testament to millions of years of evolution. Here, societies of ants operate with a single collective consciousness. They are soldiers, foragers, nurses, and engineers. Every action serves the colony, a perfectly balanced system of survival and duty. They navigate a world teeming with predators, spiders, birds, rival colonies. They have evolved defenses against every visible threat. But their greatest enemy is not something they can fight. It is not something they can even see. It drifts on the breeze, a silent, invisible assassin. It is a spore, microscopic, impossibly patient. Its entire existence is dedicated to a single, horrifying purpose. And when it lands on the body of an unsuspecting ant, the order begins to break. This is the spore of Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. Its landing is unremarkable, a random speck of dust on the ant's chitinous armor. But it is not dust. Using a cocktail of specialized enzymes, the spore begins to chemically dissolve the exoskeleton, creating a microscopic point of entry. It is a silent, painless breach. Once inside, the fungus transitions. It begins to multiply, but not as a single organism. It forms cellular colonies known as mycelia, which weave themselves through the ant's body cavity. This stage is called proliferation. Critically, the fungus avoids the ant's vital organs. It needs the host alive. It feeds methodically on non-essential fat bodies and soft tissues, drawing fuel for the war to come. For days, even weeks, the ant continues its duties. It communicates with its nestmates, it forages for food, it tends to the young. It is a walking incubator, completely unaware of the sprawling alien network consuming it from within. Imagine a city where an enemy network is being built beneath the streets, silent and unseen. Every day, life continues as normal above ground, while below, a force is gathering strength, preparing to seize control of the entire infrastructure. This is the reality for the infected ant. It is already a ghost, it just doesn't know it yet. When the fungal biomass reaches approximately 40% of the ant's body weight, the strategy changes. The phase of silent growth is over. The takeover begins. This is where the true horror unfolds, a masterpiece of parasitic manipulation. The fungus does not simply attack the brain. That would be crude and could kill the host prematurely. Instead, the mycelial network physically connects to and surrounds the ant's muscle fibers throughout its body. It then secretes a cocktail of bioactive compounds directly into the host's hemolymph, its blood. These chemicals are a form of biological warfare against the ant's mind. They hijack the central nervous system, seizing control of motor function. The ant is no longer in command of its own legs. Its own body becomes its prison. The puppet master is now pulling the strings. Driven by an impulse it cannot fight, the ant abandons its colony and its life's work. It begins a final, shambling pilgrimage. This is often called the summit disease, as the fungus compels it to climb. Up a twig, up a stem, fighting gravity with a strength that is no longer its own. The location is not random. The fungus is guiding its vessel to a precise spot, typical 25 centimeters above the forest floor on the north side of a plant, where the temperature and humidity are optimal for the fungus's final act. It is a living machine programmed to find its own graveyard. Here, in its final moments of life, the fungus forces the ant to perform a terminal, irreversible act. the death grip. It bites down with all its might onto the central vein of a leaf. The chemicals released by the fungus cause the ant's jaw muscles to atrophy, locking them into place with a force it can never undo. Immobilized, hanging above the world it once knew, the ant simply waits. It is now a living tomb, a launch pad for the parasite. With the host secured, the fungus delivers its final blow. The mycelial network finally invades the brain, consuming the last bastion of the ant's identity and ending its life. The struggle is over. But the parasite's life is just beginning. Having consumed the ant's interior, it channels all of that stolen energy into its grand finale. A fruiting body, a stalk called the stroma, begins to grow. It forces its way through a weak point in the exoskeleton, typically at the base of the ant's head. It is a grotesque metamorphosis. This stalk is the fungus's reproductive organ. It is a tombstone and a cradle, all in one. Over the next 48 hours, it grows, pushing towards the sky, fed by the nutrient-rich slurry that was once a living creature. The dead ant, locked in its death grip, becomes nothing more than an anchor and a food source. The stalk matures, developing a bulbous sac at its tip called the perithecia. This structure is a biological cannon, filled with the next generation of killers. When the atmospheric conditions are perfect, it ruptures, releasing a cloud of microscopic spores into the air. These spores drift down, a silent, deadly rain upon the forest floor. They land on the paths traveled by the dead ant's former nestmates. They land on their bodies, their legs, their antennae. For one, the cycle has ended, but for thousands of others, it is just about to begin. This is not malice, it is not evil, it is a mechanism of survival perfected over millions of years. A biological algorithm that is brutally efficient and has no room for mercy. The fungus does not need a reason. It simply executes its code. Survive, propagate, repeat. It is an algorithm written into the fabric of life itself, and we in our concrete jungles pretend we are immune, but we have our own spores, an ideology, a conspiracy, a viral piece of hate that drifts through our networks. It doesn't need to be true, it only needs to land on a receptive host. It rewrites their behavior, isolates them from the colony, and sends them on a final erratic march. They climb onto their platforms, and with a final, desperate act, they release their own cloud of influence, raining down on the population below. They are not people anymore. They are transmission vectors for a thought plague. And the code continues to run.